Howdy y'all, Skyler back in the shop. It's a Monday. We're working on a Polaris 6x6 today. Backstory on this, it's been sitting 3 years, possible fuel pump, but we all know after something sits for so long, it's got a lot of other issues. So today we're gonna tackle this and see what all it needs to get running. Stay tuned. Quick update, the hood folds up, it's got little rubber latches right there, pulls up. We got our old battery here, the stinky. So we're gonna get a new battery put in this thing. We're gonna clean the air filter out. And then we are going to see what it does and try to diag this thing real quick. Got the dump bed all lifted up and our fuel pump location's there. So we're gonna check engine oil, the standard basic stuff, just to make sure that if it does fire, we don't hurt the engine. And then, yeah, I'll update you guys when we get closer because I don't think it's gonna take too long. Anyways. We got a battery hooked up to it real quick. So just immediately figuring out this electric fuel pump. So whenever I kick that key on to the on position, I should hear that fuel pump priming, and I'm not. So that confirms suspicions that we're gonna have to get back here, replace the fuel pump. Got one right here. Well boys, after a little bit of pondering, taking a look here back at the fuel pump, couldn't help but notice the main fuel lines run under, and the fuel pump I'm trying to change is inline. And also assuming we're going to be in it for a carb rebuild because how long this thing's sitting, we all know how gas is these days. So I got to work on getting these seats out and then take the center console out. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Bam! No more seats. We got it all taken out. Wasn't too bad. Found ourselves a carburetor, which is nice. I think that fuel pump's in here though, so I'm gonna bop all these off. We gotta take apart our e-brake there. And yeah, should gain all of the access we need to this motor. So we got that inspection cover off. Wasn't too bad. The e-brake cable on the other side, I just unbolted and you're able to lay it over. You don't have to take the assembly apart or anything. If anybody's curious about that. But, so remember we diagged a bad fuel pump, right? So I get over here, find our fuel pump. But then, I don't know if you can see it or not, there's a lead not connected. So I guarantee you, if we connect that lead to that wire there, we're gonna have power to our fuel pump. We'll swap out the new one, but I think that's the issue right there. All right, moment of truth. I got that lead connected back up. Let's see. I don't hear anything. Maybe she actually needs a pump. You guys will never believe it. So we got the fuel pump hooked up. I showed you guys that. And then went over to the carburetor. I sprayed a little bit of fuel down its throat. If you look right here, there's our carburetor. So I just sprayed a little bit of fuel down its throat, and check this out. It's pretty crazy actually. So runs, then dies out. I can get a little bit of throttle response if it doesn't die, but dies out. So I'm thinking we got a float stuck, something in the carburetor. So we're gonna pull that off, see what's going on with that. Well, I got the diaphragm pulled off this thing. Kind of try to leave the carburetor on here because all these linkages are hard to pull off and remove and stuff. So first thing I noticed, somebody's been in here. On the bottom of the bowl, the bolts are stripped out. On the top where the diaphragm is, the bolts are stripped out, right? And then the fuel line was halfway off. Next thing I noticed, we got a big old fuel leak right here out of this little cap. So I got another one of those, we'll get thrown on. I don't feel like that should be capping a fuel line. So maybe we'll make sure it's sealed. Go from there and see if maybe she'll get a good fire. And the vacuum line on the bottom here was off. It's right there. So we'll spray this out, clean it all up, and see if it does anything before I take it all the way off. What's up guys, back at it. So we got the pump installed. This is the next day. We got that pump installed, And then we had a tank full of bad gas, probably, I don't know, I already pumped out 5 gallons, so I'm assuming, 6-7 gallons in there. So little trick, it's an electric fuel pump, so you could just splice those leads up to a battery and run it. That way you don't have to turn it over, and you'll get fuel pumping out of it. So little trick on these. Oh, you guys don't have to drop the tank, nothing like that. Just pump the gas out using what it has. So yep, once this is all pumped out, I'll go ahead and update you guys once more. I think we're pretty close to getting it done. We're gonna pull that carburetor off and get it a rebuild. We tried messing with it yesterday just a little bit, and it wasn't enough. So we're gonna pull that off, put it on the bench, rebuild it, throw it back in here, and I think we'll be driving this bad boy around. So, all right, y'all. We got that carburetor rebuilt. We threw it on the bench and cleaned all the jets out. It was pretty clogged, a lot of sediment down in the bottom. So hoping that's settled. I found 2 pieces. There were big old vacuum leaks here. Here, their boots were ripped. So I got those replaced, readjusted the cables, all that. And then the spring was completely missing out of this, so we had to fix that. So hopefully with that, this is gonna be pretty primo, and I don't have to mess with the carburetor anymore. We could just slice that right out of the deal. We got the tank pumped, got to reconnect the main fuel line, and then maybe we'll try to fire, see what happens. So I got some new gas for it. We're gonna throw it in there. I got that carburetor back together. I figured out that I had accidentally pulled the spark plug wire out and had no spark either. So I was trying to diag that for a second. I was like, what the heck? Anyways, fix that. So yeah, anyways. High idle, but not bad. So it's got a high idle I have to diagnose. Figure that out. I'm assuming it's probably just the linkage down here is too tight. So we'll back that off a good ways. See if it fixes it. Wow. A little better. All right, guys. Well, this carburetor is done. We got her dialed. So I was having an issue. It wouldn't start. It wouldn't do anything. And it almost sounded like it had no spark. So I pulled the plug out. Plug was like completely fouled out. And the overflow was just dumping fuel. So I went in, cleaned the needle and seat out, readjusted that, and then tried to turn some voltage down on this electric pump right here because I figured it was pumping too much into the carburetor and making it overflow. All of those things combined corrected it. Not sure which one did it, but runs good now. And we got sparklage. I had to fix the lightning boiler down in there, as Derek from Vice Grip Garage would say. So got her all hooked up. Runs good, idles good, it doesn't idle high, nothing like that. So there's a bunch of leaves down in here. I don't know if y'all could see in there or not, but I vacuumed that out because I don't want this thing to catch on fire. Hey, Jewish God, help me, Allah! Ah! Help me, Tom Cruise! Because that would suck. So we're gonna get this thing kind of reassembled a little bit, back it outside, and then we're gonna pressure wash it, get everything cleaned out. Then we need some coolant in it, and then we'll put it back on the lift and probably fix these tires. So got flat tires, so we gotta fix those. We've been working on this thing, got her all cleaned out and kind of mocked up just because I'm about to test the the drive, the 6-wheel drive, make sure everything works. We had a tire over here, right there. Sorry, it's really hard to point with the camera. Right there, had a big old leak in the side, so had to cram a bunch of patches in that to make that hold air. We gonna get a new tire on it and everything. So we got all the tires holding air now. I checked the fluid and the key case and all the diffs and stuff. So hopefully, with any luck, it works. And we can just kind of clean this thing up, spiffy it up, make it look good, and it'll be on its way. So that's the hope. Guess we'll see what happens. All right, guys. Attempt number 2. Sometimes whenever life gives you lemons, you just have to squeeze the crap out of them until you feel better. Unacceptable! That's what I did to this, so I hope it works. All right. know, just...
Oh, make you want to kick a fat kid at Kmart. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know anymore. Here you go buy a spark plug. That plug's donezo. To O'Reilly we go. So we got it figured out, right? I hope so. Because every time I get it figured out and I try to show you guys, I don't have it figured out. So, got a new spark plug, put it in. Wouldn't fire, but previously it would fire but only run for a little bit and then die out and whatnot. So, pulled the side off, checked my linkage. Linkage was good, so I pulled the bottom out to check the needle and seat there. And that seemed pretty good. I took it apart anyways, blew it out. After that, I went ahead and the main jet blew that out as well. And it blew a big old chunk of something out of the main supply line right there. So I put it all back together and now she runs. So check it out. There we go. It's running. Runs pretty good, so I'm gonna back it out. I had it up on the lift and I threw in gear and it seemed to move on its own, so we're gonna see if we can get it back out of the shop, get it all washed, and then we'll reassemble it and take it on a test drive. I hope that's the case. Alright guys, we got a hit with the foam cannon. We try to get all the cracks and crevices, you know, its nether regions. Anyway, letting it soak a minute. It's like about 100 degrees outside, so I don't want to let it soak too much or else this will become one with it. So I think we're about to spray it off. What it looks like, just trying to get the engine clean, you know. Stuff like that, a bunch of fire hazard under the engine manifold and all that, bunch of old leaves has been sitting, so getting all that blown out and cleaned up. Wow guys, this thing cleaned up really good. Looking like a brand new machine out here. Check her out. Granted, everything's all wet. We're gonna get it wiped down. So, yep, there she is, guys. Got to bring the rest of the interior parts out. We're gonna get those all pressure washed and then we'll bring it inside, get it all cleaned up, reassembled. I think this project is about to be wrapped up. Anybody curious if the 6x6 does a burnout? It does! Anyways, we're gonna do an oil change to it real quick.
Could you be the one to call when I lose control?
Well guys, we got her all whooped up. Runs pretty good, drives, stops, goes into gear. I was having an issue whenever I'd stop, the idle was too high and it was like floating the synchros or something and you couldn't get into gear. So I brought the idle down to where I think is good. Seems to go into gear whenever you stop just fine and she's looking pretty good. We got the seats all done up in here. So there's that. We got everything bolted down. I tried to clean it all up. I'm happy with it. So hopefully my buddy will be happy with the 6x6. This has been sitting in his house. It's been sitting at his house for 3 years, so hopefully he enjoys it. See you guys on the next video.